Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube and Instagram, with new episodes on Tuesdays. Okay, hello. We have we just had a whole 10-minute conversation, but I almost got killed by a huge spider. But everything's fine now. Everything's fine. But I'm a bit frazzled. So, okay, we're here to talk about Buffy. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
There's no big spiders in this episode.
No, the spider's gone.
Only
weird
worm men.
Yeah, and what are they called? Assassins?
Yeah.
Bounty killers. That's the word I was looking for. The Order of Taraka.
Order of Taraka. Yes. Okay. So we are here with season 2, episode 10. What's My Line, part 2. So this is the conclusion to the two-parter. So the original air date was November 24th, 1997, written by Marty Noxon and directed by David Semel. And the synopsis, actually it's a little bit different. In the conclusion of a two-part episode, Buffy reluctantly confronts Kendra, the new vampire slayer, only to find that the two are polar opposites in every way. Much to Buffy's chagrin, she must join forces with Kendra to save the man who means the most to her, Angel. Meanwhile, with Buffy on the hunt, Xander and Cordelia are left to wait at Buffy's home, where they have a close encounter of their own kind.
What was that
Yikes.
face you made about Buffy and Angel?
I don't know. I was like, the man that means them both to her. I'm like, okay, we get it.
He does for now.
I know.
Let's embrace it while we can.
I know. All right. So we start with the previously on. We get reminded of Spike and the Order of Taraka. Kendra, the vampire slayer, what?
Yep.
And that Angel is the key in the ritual for Drusilla to become strong again.
Right.
So it's her sire. So you need the sire for the ritual, and that happens to be Angel. We open the episode in Angel's apartment, where we left off on the last episode, where Kendra tells Buffy that she is Kendra, the vampire slayer. And this is a funny episode.
Buffy doesn't believe her, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, nice cover story, but you should try not talking to the actual slayer when you say you're the slayer. And then she's like, you're not the slayer, I'm the damn slayer.
Yeah. And I like how Buffy's like, okay, you back off, and I'll back off, and no wiggy stuff, whatever. And Kendra's like, what's wiggy?
What's wiggy?
So
she's like calling a ceasefire because obviously there's something going on here. Yeah, so Buffy says, we're going to go to my watcher and figure out.
And then, Kendra said she was sent by her watcher. So now we know there's two watchers.
Yeah, so double the fun for everybody, everything. yeah, like you said, Kendra said she was sent to kill vampires by her watcher. Mm-hmm. So at Willie's, we get a quick little shot of Angel, who is almost in the sun. The sun keeps creeping. He's
not looking good either.
He's not doing well. He's like in the corner, like shivering.
He just looks sick.
And I think he's given up getting out, because the last time we saw him in there, he was really still trying to get out, and now he's just trying to hide.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. So not looking
also,
good for Angel.
Okay, I have questions. These are silly questions, but he's wearing so much clothing. Can he just take off a layer of clothing and cover himself with it? I don't know.
Yeah, he can.
Guess not. Okay, anyway.
He can.
Moving on.
He could put some of those cardboard boxes together and get inside of it, and he would be uncomfortable, but covered, he'd be safe.
Right. See,
he wouldn't die. He has that big coat on. He could cover himself up with that coat.
That's what I'm thinking. Take the coat off and just put it over your head. Anyway.
Yeah, we see this kind of stuff play out, like vampires versus the sun, how to deal with that later on, a lot of the series. And yeah, it is as simple as that.
Okay, great. So all right, silly Angel.
But it wouldn't be as dramatic if he's just oh, my coat, I'll just wait till somebody comes and saves me. But yeah, that's a good point, and that is all he had to do. In the library, Giles says, Kendra tells Giles that Kendra's watcher is Sam Zabuto. So Giles says he has heard of him, he's never met him, but he's very well respected. So this gives a lot of validity to Kendra's claim that she's a slayer, because she knows a watcher's name, and Giles has heard of him. He knows he's in the Watcher Council and stuff. So
that's interesting. Yeah,
not really probably a misunderstanding or something.
I mean, it's interesting. I like how every time someone walks in, Kendra is on edge. And then my favorite line, actually, when Buffy's back off, Pink Ranger.
Yeah, Power Ranger reference. Very much into the Power Rangers when I was young. Were you? Were you into the Power Rangers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially because the pink one's name was Kim, so.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's right.
There was Trina, Billy, Jason, Kimberly.
You actually remember all of their names. Wow, okay.
And then there was another one. that was sometimes there. Maybe that was Jason. The red and the green, I can't remember. They get their names mixed up. One was Jason, one was like, I don't know. Adam's not right. Anyway, yeah, I remember. I had a little crush on Billy, the Blue Ranger.
Nice.
So, and Trina was the Yellow Ranger. Yeah, obviously Kimberly was the Pink Ranger. So Giles is a bit confused.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this seems to be legit, but why is it legit?
Yep.
Like, don't understand.
But
And
then
yeah,
they figure it out pretty quickly.
well, Willow comes in, like you said. Kendra is just agog and like doesn't understand at all
Yeah.
how she has a friend. First of all, a friend,
Yep.
like a social friend,
Weird.
but a friend that actually knows her secret identity.
Yep.
So she's like, "What? How do you allow this?" And poor Giles is just like, the whole episode. He's like, how do you allow this? How do you allow that? Why do you let her do this? He's like, well.
She's a stubborn girl.
To some of Giles' best lines when he has to like explain his like method with Buffy.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. He says flexibility is required in Buffy's case.
Well, and as we find out later on in the episode, which we can talk about more then, but like it's different. The way they were thrust into this was very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're saying, I'm surprised they didn't come to this conclusion earlier as soon as Kendra showed up. But yeah, well, the only way for another Slayer to be called is if a Slayer dies.
I didn't come to this conclusion until they brought it up here. So that's fair.
I mean, Giles should have.
Maybe, yeah. Okay,
I feel
fine.
like. So Buffy technically medically died.
She died. I know. And then like Buffy's like, I was only gone for a minute.
Yeah.
And then Kendra's like, she died? And Buffy's like, just a little.
Like, don't get too excited. It was just a little bit of death.
The lines in this whole episode are great.
Yeah, there are a lot of good lines. Yeah, so Buffy's like, hey, it was just a little bit of death. I came right back. I was resuscitated. And yeah, so Kendra says she was sent there by her watcher because there are signs indicate a dark power is rising in Sunnydale.
Right.
And she was sent to take care of it. And she says, well, Buffy's like, you're just going around beating up people. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I thought you were a vampire.
She's like, I had my reasons.
Yeah. And she's like, strike one. Buffy says something like, strike one for the rookie. Like, Buffy is like, her sass against Kendra, she's immediately threatened.
Yeah, of course.
For as much as Buffy doesn't like being the Slayer.
Insecure.
As much as Buffy doesn't like being the Slayer, she's like, well, but I am. Like, how dare you? It's like a toy you don't want until somebody else wants it. That's mine. Excuse me.
Or if somebody's making fun of someone in your family, you're like, only I get to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Buffy is with like being a Slayer in this episode.
Yeah.
And she says, well, I saw you kissing a vampire. So naturally she thinks that she's a vampire. And they have to explain that Angel's good. And that leads her to being like, well, he looked like just a monster to me when I... And then she stops. And everyone's like, what did you do to Angel? Yeah. And Buffy, of course, is immediately freaking out.
Yep. And well, also, though, she
moment.
Understood who Angelus was, too, right? She understood that name.
Yeah, they're still saying it wrong, too. You said it correctly in the episode, but it should be Angelus. Like, she did say it like you said it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, Angelus? Yes, I know who that is. Don't even get me started. All right, we're going to leave and go to Willie's. At Willie's, Willie lets Angel out of the cage just in the nick of time. And kind of, he's very, we get the impression that the sun has drained him.
Yeah.
That even being closer to it has...
He seems very weak.
Affected him. Yeah, it's weakened him. And that's not something we really see going forward, really. Like, it's either you're in the sun, you're in direct sunlight, or you're not. Like, that's like when the danger is. Mm-hmm. But... Again, season 2, they're still hashing everything out. But, so he kind of like drags Angel. Angel's not very responsive. And then drops him into the sewer. And we're like, oh, okay. He's just throwing him down. I thought he throwing him down there just to get him out of the sunlight.
Helping him, exactly. Yeah. But no.
No, Spike comes out of the shadows.
Spike's cronies take off with him.
Mm-hmm. Spike comes out of the shadows and pays Willie for handing Angel over. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you going to do with them? And Spike says, I was thinking maybe your dinner at a movie. I don't move too fast. I've been hurt,
Yeah, that was cute.
That was great. So yeah, he's handed, Willie is always just like, doesn't matter, like, he'll just hop to whatever team is like willing to pay him and is more likely to win, less likely to kill him. So he's just, right now he's on that side of the
That's I wouldn't want to be in that position. I think you can just get turned on so quickly and easily. Like, I think he's kind of dumb, but...
He is, but he's like a little con artist.
Yeah.
Kind of, so. At Buffy's house, Cordelia is looking at makeup samples from the worm guy. And it's kind of awkward. He's very, like, stiff, and he's not, like, really selling any. Like, he's not, like, he doesn't have a salesperson.
$9.99.
Yeah. Tax included, which is weird because we never include tax, right? That price. And I like when, and it's obvious, because Cordelia's like, not to like offend you or anything, but I think you should just like look into selling dictionaries or encyclopedias or something. Like something less, like, they wouldn't be selling to like housewives and women that you need to like sell them on it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so she's kind of like, okay, this is like not really working out. But she sees a worm like come out of his sleeve,
Oh, God,
of his hand, and is immediately suspicious. And says like, okay, you need to leave now. And Xander comes down and is like, okay, guy, get out of here. But then they see the worm go into like on his face and go into his ear.
Oh.
Yeah. So they immediately run, and of course they run right into the basement.
Yeah.
And the worm guy like disintegrates into worms.
Yeah.
Like just completely
and then he rematerializes. So
Yeah.
he can just like turn from human to worm and move and then
yeah. And then just rematerialize. Yeah.
quite
So
the parlor trick.
yeah, they hide in the basement and he starts coming through under the door. Because like you can get under stuff. You can get into small crevices and stuff, obviously, if you're the size of a worm.
Super creepy.
So it's not good. They're like locked themselves in the basement and the worm guy's coming after them.
Did you find it weird that they locked themselves in the basement? Because
It always is. It's like running upstairs.
90% of California houses do not have basements.
That's true too. Yeah, that is true too.
So I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah, it needed more set.
Yep.
That basement comes in handy many times, so they need
we're
more.
looking- Okay, so it's not just in this episode. Okay.
No, we see it. I mean, it's like in season 7, it's actually like a pretty well used set.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
As time goes on, you use it more. But yeah, it's weird. It is very weird that Buffy has a basement. That's true. Okay, so they're kind of locked in there, and I don't know why they were by the front door. I don't know why they just didn't run right out the front door.
Yeah, I thought they were going to run outside.
And they were closer to the front door than he was. At Willie's, Angel is gone. Like Kendra and Buffy show up and they see there's no the cage is open, but there's no ashes. So Angel didn't get dusted by the sun.
Yeah, Kendra points out there's no dust.
Yeah, so that's a good sign that at least he didn't already get killed. They beat up Willie to get information because obviously he probably knows what happened to Angel, and Willie lies and said, I just helped him like underground. He said he was gonna lay low. I just he was like obviously needs to recover, so that's it. He's just gonna lay low until he's at full strength again. And then they're gonna go. She's like, okay, we can go back to your watcher now and get our orders. And Buffy's like, I don't take orders. Like I do things my own way. And she's like, no wonder you died. That's my favorite line. Buffy, I don't take orders. I do things my own way. No wonder you died. Kendra is so by the book.
She is, yeah. I also thought it was funny when Willie asked them if they would ever consider modeling.
I know, I have that here. Nude modeling.
High-class nude work.
Ew.
High-class nude work, though.
These are like 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
These are underage girls.
Not okay.
Gross. I know, I
So
put
gross.
ew. Yeah. Willie. No.
Not okay.
No, Willie. At the factory, Spike brings Angel to Drew, and Drew wants to
Play with him?
Like she does with all of her dolls, and Drew, she's a weirdo. And Spike does say that we need a full moon, and then they can do the ritual, and then she will be restored. Yeah. And it's also, I'm like, Spike can't wait to get laid, because he's like, it's been so long, and they kiss and stuff. Like, maybe she's been too sick to, like, do it.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's what I kind of got with that. Like, Spike's like, okay, can we just, that's his real motivation for restoring her, I guess. And yeah, Drew wants to play with Angel, so he's like, okay, you can have him. You can do what you want with him until the ritual.
Make sure you don't kill him before the ritual.
Keep him alive. In the quad, Kendra, like the kind of that group is walking, or it's Willow, Kendra, Giles, and Buffy are walking the quad. And Giles says that he talked to her watcher, and they agreed that she's going to stay and help with the Drew and Spike situation.
Yeah, try to figure things out until things get resolved.
Yeah, so she's going to stay around and help out. And this was your question, that Buffy gets jealous over the bond, like seemingly the quick bond, and how well that Giles and Kendra get along.
Yeah, they're actually really cute. I mean,
it is cute.
Kendra studies a lot, and Giles would, I think, like it if Buffy studied more. Kendra talked about the Slayer handbook.
Yeah.
He's like, what is that?
Handbook? I didn't get a handbook. What does he say? He says, I don't think I wrote it down. He's like, oh, I think it wouldn't have been useful in your case. She's like, my case? What's wrong with my case? The whole thing was cute. It was cute. Giles and Kendra was cute. And then Buffy being jealous of it was cute, too.
It was cute. That whole scene was really cute. He was very taken with Kendra. Yeah.
And, like, the thing that really stood out to me about their kind of, like, nerdiness was that she says that she read about the Order of Taraka in a book, and that it was volume 6 of some obviously volume of books. And Giles was like, oh, that was hard for me to get through. It was really dry. Like, can you show me where that was? And like, so she was reading a book and like learning a book that even Giles thought was too dry. So like these two are like a pair made in heaven.
And then she's like, the footnotes were really hard.
And they're like, oh, yeah, I know the footnotes.
And then I love
so
Buffy's
cute.
Like, hello and welcome to the Planet Pocket Protector.
She's just like so like, I just hate everything. Like now she's stealing my watch. She's trying to steal my calling. She's stealing my watcher. Like I don't like this girl. So Giles and Kendra take off to look up that volume because he wants to like, maybe that will uncover some more information about the Order of Taraka so they can get a handle on it. And I like when Buffy's talking to Willow and she's like, oh, like just obviously jealous. She's like, Giles probably wishes I was more like of a book nerd and everything. She's like, did you see them? Volume 6. And then immediately her face falls and she's like, oh, like disgusted. But she says, did you see them? Volume 6?
But I thought Willow was cute because she's like, oh, Giles is nerdy enough for the both of you, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's like, you're his favorite. You're his favorite. You're always going to be his favorite Slayer. You're the real Slayer. And this is interesting because this is when Buffy says, maybe on second thought it wouldn't be too bad if Kendra just took over because then I could essentially retire.
She could have her own life.
And she'd go to Disneyland and be there for months, which I'm like, okay, Buffy, let's go. Yeah. Yeah, so she's thinking, maybe this wouldn't be such a bad thing, like in reality, because she's had a hard time with the Slayer baggage lately. So now there's another Slayer. There only needs to be one, so.
Yeah.
In Buffy's basement, Cordelia is pacing, so Xander and Cordelia are just waiting it out. They've put tape under the door. They put tape under the door to keep the worms out, so they're just hoping he like loses interest and leaves, or wait until Buffy gets here. Yeah, and so they're bickering because Cordelia is pacing, and so they have this fight. They're both blaming the other one for being down here, and like, you let him in, where you did this, and all this, and then all of a sudden...
I hate you,
and they kiss.
Exactly like that.
They play tonsil hockey, just like that. That was an actual audio clip from... real-life audio from Xander and Cordelia kissing for the first time. Yeah, and they are at this. They kiss like passionately, and then they are kind of horrified when they pull apart.
They are. And I was waiting for this.
I know you were
waiting for this.
I know you were. You saw it coming a mile away.
I did. Yes. Yep.
And Xander's like, "We have to get out of here," and they immediately run up the stairs. They're like, "We can't be in this basement together anymore. Look what happened." So they run out, and they're like, they peek out first, and he's like, "Okay, I don't see anything," and then. So Xander runs for the front door. Cordelia's right behind him. And then as soon as she gets into like the dining room, worms start falling from the ceiling.
So gross. That is so gross.
All over her. Yeah. And yeah, it's disgusting.
He freaks out. He has to hose her down.
Yeah. They managed to get out into the front yard and he's hosing her down and she's covered in worms.
No. Yeah. So not cool.
I think eventually she's like, okay. Soak at her. Trying to get the worms off. And they take off in her car. Like they bird rubber out of there. In the hallway at school, it's the career fair still going on. It's career week still. And Buffy catches Oz looking at Willow and says, like, oh, that guy's looking at you. And Willow does it like, oh, yeah, we were both recruited for this thing. And, that's all it is. And she's like, why is he coming over here? Like, okay, Buffy's hyping this, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, me too.
And so Oz comes over and says, oh, do you think you're gonna like become a software suit? And she's like, no, I'm gonna finish high school yet. And she was interested that he got recruited and he just tests well. He really isn't interested in doing anything. but
so weird.
Interested in any work of any kind except for he wants to accomplish E flat diminished ninth on the guitar, a guitar chord.
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that means.
So apparently I should have asked my husband, but apparently it's difficult but not impossible. So he's just trying to like master that chord on the guitar because he is the guitarist in the band. Yeah. Buffy signs up for the law enforcement seminar, and there's a handful of other kids that are also got put in that category. And the officer starts reading out. It's like a female officer with like a French braid tucked in, and she's in her her typical cop uniform.
She's gonna do roll call.
She's gonna do roll call. She's like, okay, tell him, say you're here when I call your name. So she calls Buffy's name. Buffy raises her hand, and then the cop immediately pulls her gun out and tries to shoot Buffy. Like immediately.
I did not see this coming.
I was gonna say, did this surprise you?
Yes, it did. It took me by complete surprise. This is our third bounty hunter.
Yeah. I love it. I love that they were.
Yeah.
And she's probably just a human, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that was like, hey, I'll have some side gig.
Yeah.
I don't even know if she could really be a cop. I don't know. But
I'm assuming like maybe she actually is a cop.
Yeah, it could be. Like this is like her side hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
Just assassin on the side.
Yeah.
So there's this big fight. Buffy jumps over a table. Like everyone's screaming because this isn't a full career.
There's like
all the kids are gathered. Around. Yeah.
She's telling people to get down.
It's chaos, and Oz pushes Willow out of the way of a shot, and he gets shot in the arm.
Gets shot. Yeah.
So Oz is down.
Damn, he saves her.
And thankfully, Kendra shows up and kind of disarms the cop. Mm-hmm. And then the cop grabs Jonathan, poor Jonathan, back again. And he just gets grabbed, and she has a knife to his throat, backing away. Basically. Takes him hostage, backing away, and then tosses him, and she runs out. And Kendra runs after her. And Buffy goes over to Oz, and he's like, his reaction to being shot is pretty funny. I'm hot. I'm hot. He is hot too. I'm shot. This is weird. Oh wow. It's painful. Wow. He's totally in the moment. He's not in shock at all. He's like, wow, I'm experiencing this. I've been shot. This is very Oz. So in the library, they say that Oz is going to be okay. Buffy says Willow comes in and tells Buffy and Giles that Oz is going to be okay. It was just like a graze.
Yeah.
And Kendra is there as well. Cordelia and Xander show up to talk about their worm experience.
And this was weird. Kendra's reaction to Xander is super weird. She stutters over her words. She
won't look him in the eye.
Yeah.
Looks down at the ground. Can't get a whole sentence out. Super and it's very weird. He's like, you're a slayer. I like that in a woman. In a woman. He's got a type, I guess. And one of those types is a slayer.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's very awkward around him. And Cordelia and Xander tell the group about this worm guy. Tell them their whole tale about this assassin that's a worm. And Buffy says, what's with you and bug people, Xander?
Oh, yeah. And he's all like, well, he said something about...
Praying mantis. It's not different than praying mantis lady.
Exactly.
This guy was made of bugs.
That was a good line.
Yeah, so it was a nice throwback to Teacher's Pet.
Yeah.
Which seems like so long ago.
It was so long ago. Buffy
kind of thanks Kendra.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way for coming to her rescue with Patrice, I think is that assassin's name. Patrice come to her rescue against Patrice. Giles finally tells Buffy that they figured out the ritual and that they need Drew's sire for the ritual. And nobody knows this until now that Buffy says it's Angel is the sire. She's not really been sharing that information.
I forgot no one else knew that.
Yeah, and she's like, will it kill him? And he says yes. Yeah. So the full moon is happening soon. And then Giles says that they have 5 hours to figure this out before the ritual would probably start. Mm-hmm. And Buffy says, nobody messes with me. You can torture me. You can do all these things, send assassins after me, but nobody messes with my boyfriend.
I like that.
So she's on the warpath.
Kendra is so confused by all this. She's like, okay, weird.
Yeah, Kendra is so weirded out. She's like, wait, no, these 2 more people know who you are. Do you not know what a secret identity is?
But also, she just can't wrap her head around the fact that Buffy's in love with a vampire.
That too. There's so much going on. Kendra is
let's talk about forbidden fruit.
Yeah, Kendra, none of your life makes sense to me at all. None of it. In the factory, Drusilla is singing that Blackberry Patch song again. that we saw her at in the playground singing. And she talks about her mom, her family.
Her mom ate lemons raw. Mm-hmm. That's a weird tidbit.
Yeah, but she's talking about things her family like to eat. Mm-hmm. And that because Angel killed them all.
Yeah, she seems not happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's kind of reminding him of things, like personal things about them that would like hurt him now. That, you know, to remind him
that they were people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's doing this.
Pouring holy water on him.
As she's pouring holy water, this is like a throw to like Ricky Martin when they put the hat wax on his chest. Do you know what I'm talking about, the music video?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know that?
I've never watched a Ricky Martin music video.
Oh, I've sent it to you. And when you see, it's like an iconic part of I think it's Livin' La Vida Loca, and they like pour hat wax on his like chest, and he's like, "Ee!" That's what it reminded me of when she's pouring that.
That's so weird.
Holy water. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so Drew's like, oh, remember her fingers in her hands before you ripped their throats out? It's like, oh, damn.
Drew's not happy still not happy that, and it's weird because, well, there's a lot of weird relationships between vampire family members, air quotes. So she resents him, but she's also was in a sexual relationship with him.
Yeah, did we know that before?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, because that comes up soonish.
Yeah, like later it does come up, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff mixed up in vampire familial relationships.
I'm just trying to figure out how that went. Like, he slaughtered her whole family, made her go crazy, turned her a vampire, and then they got it on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point she was a demon, so I guess
yeah.
I mean, most people aren't mad at their sires for killing them either.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I just feel like you'd be mad about it.
This is interesting. Like, over the course of the show, like these kind of like air quote inter-family vampire relationships are very complicated, and we see all kinds of different takes on this. So this is actually pretty interesting.
Okay.
So in the library, Giles says there's 43 churches in Sunnydale because they said that it's going to take place in a church, the ritual. And he's surprised by that, but Willow says, "Hey, it's the Hellmouth. It drives people to like pray.
Makes people pray harder."
Yeah. So he's the one to say, okay, we need to narrow it down to ones that are closed or abandoned, because those are going to be the most likely place for him to do the ritual. And again, this is where Kendra and Buffy are in Giles' office messing with some weapons. And that's when she's like, do you even know what a secret identity is? Like, this is ridiculous. And Buffy says, when this is all over, I want to watch like a teen rom-com.
Oh, yeah.
Like marathon, something from, I can't remember what she says, but basically from the Molly Ringwald era.
Yeah. 16 handles.
Yeah, like the Brat Pack movies.
I like how Kendra's like playing with the, what is that thing called? The crossbow.
Yeah, crossbow.
Playing with the crossbow, and Buffy's like, oh, be careful with that. And she's like,
I'm trained in all weapons.
Like, I got this. And then it accidentally goes off and breaks a lamp.
Yeah.
And Giles is like, what's going on? And Buffy's like, it's okay. Kendra killed a bad lamp.
Yeah. Buffy is just like, anytime Kendra puts a foot wrong, Buffy's like, yes, I'm here for this. Look what you did.
That's so good.
So outside in the main room where everybody else is, Xander finds reference to the bug guy, and he says, here's our bug man, cuckoo cuckoo, which is he says, I am the bug man, cuckoo cuckoo, which is a reference to a Beatles song.
Yep.
I'm the walrus. Mm-hmm. And it says in there that he can only be killed when disassembled.
Yeah, so when he's little wormies.
When he's worms is the only time he can be killed.
Yep.
We go back into talking with Buffy and Kendra, and Kendra kind of reveals to Buffy that her parents gave her to her watcher as a child.
So I found that interesting then, because her parents must know what that is then. They must know what a slayer is. They must know about vampires. So I thought that was interesting, because I feel like Buffy was just thrust into it like...
Yeah.
Just, all blindsided. Like, she had no clue. Her mom doesn't know anything about what's going on. Like, it's just such a different... So at least Kendra was, from a young age, it sounds like, raised into this.
Yeah, I also put, like, how, question mark. Like, how did she know she was a potential slayer?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, even if you knew about vampires and about slayers, it doesn't mean your daughter could be a potential slayer. Is going to be in the line to be called. Yeah. Even if you had that information.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, I think Buffy and Kendra are around the same age-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So if Buffy's a slayer, then how would Kendra be a potential slayer and be training? Yeah, I had all these questions, too.
I'm also don't know that. Like, usually... Typically, as far as I know, that I remember, like, at this point, especially in like, you don't know you're the slayer until you're called, until your watcher comes up to you and is like, you've been called, this is what's the vampires are real, yada, yada, yada. So I don't really, she's like, yeah, the calling is, that's how serious the calling is taken by my people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like her culture is like different. They can tell, they know somehow.
Yeah.
But we don't ever get any more information. I don't.
Yeah, but it just sounds so different.
It is different, yeah. Like even
think, like, I
without that,
feel
how she was
like
raised.
Buffy, it looks like I can see a little glimmer in Buffy where she's realizing, like, okay, so this chick had to, like, change her life from a young age. She doesn't have school, friends, family.
Doesn't
like,
even remember her parents.
yeah.
That's how young she was.
Buffy's kind of like, huh, maybe it's not so great the way
Yeah.
she was, like, born into it, really.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be jealous of everything about her.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I have my family, I have friends, I still have my parents. Well, she has her mom.
She tries to have some semblance of a normal life at least, whereas Kendra has zero.
Yeah. And Kendra says that she tells Buffy that her emotions are weakness. And so there's this little conversation between them about are emotions a power or weakness? And Kendra thinks, as for a Slayer, they are a weakness, and Buffy thinks that they give her power, her emotions. They're an asset to a Slayer. And she kind of proves her point.
She goads Kendra.
She says, your fighting's really good, but, you're just too technical. Like, you have to, like, be spontaneous, and that's how you're going to win a fight. You wouldn't have beaten me because of that. And it gets Kendra angry. It gets Kendra angry, and Buffy kind of points out that, see, that's what you're feeling right now is anger, and that's good for a Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, basically, that's what's going to keep you alive.
Yeah. And I think Buffy has a point.
And then I think Xander pops his head in for something, and immediately Kendra is like, like shy again. And she said, yeah, boys, I don't talk to boys. So she has no social skills.
Yeah.
Even less so when it comes to boys.
Yep.
So
weird.
Learned a ton about Kendra there. In the factory, Spike comes downstairs to Drew and Angel and says it's time for the ritual. And this is where Angel really baits Spike from what he says.
Does he ever? Oh, man.
So he implies that Drusilla is not sexually satisfied by Spike. She likes to be teased. Like, I know she likes to be teased. Like, I can tell she's not being satisfied. Like, let me give you a few pointers. Like, implying that he's been there. He's been there, done that with Drew. And Spike does not like this. He doesn't like the fact that they've had a past relationship of some kind.
Yeah.
And it almost drives Spike to stake Angel.
Yep.
But Drew stops him.
I almost feel like that's what Angel was going for.
Yeah, he was trying to sacrifice himself. That way, Drew wouldn't be, like, full strength. And
restored,
wouldn't have been restored. So he was willing to sacrifice himself. And immediately, Spike, once he calms down a second, he's like, I see what you're trying to do there. I see. I almost fell for that. But it's interesting, he said that if Drew dies, he says, like something about trying to sacrifice himself so Drew will die. But Drew really shouldn't die from whatever she's suffering from. We don't really get much information on that. We just said she's weak, whatever. That's all we really get. But whatever happened to her shouldn't kill her. There's a small, finite list of ways a vampire can die. So what? She was, like, beaten by a mob or something? Like,
I don't know. They don't really say, right?
Like, either she would stay, like, as she is, or she would get better. I don't know how she would get worse and die.
She does keep getting worse, though, right? Like,
Spike's saying, like, if we don't, like, fix her, she's going to die. But, like, how? Like, there's only, like, a handful of ways you can kill a vampire. So, like, what does she have? Like, what is it?
I guess I should have done more backstory on that, huh?
Like, I don't understand how she could die. There's like a handful of ways you can kill a vampire. So, I wish I knew more about that. They just...
Yeah.
Spike does say that she will die if they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how is that possible? Does she have a splinter somewhere in her and it's getting closer and closer to her heart? Like, that would make sense, but they didn't say that. So, I don't know. That's a strange one. On rewatch, I was like, doesn't really follow for me.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, you're right.
At Willie's, Buffy and Kendra show up again to beat the crap out of Willie for more information, because now they know that he's probably lied about Angel. And he said he will take them to the ritual. Buffy's like, okay, let's go. And Kendra's like, no, we need to get with Giles. We need to, like, we can't take this. We can't do this on our own. Like, we have to regroup with Giles.
Go through the process. Do things by
And
the book.
yeah, and Buffy's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
No, because Angel could die.
And Kendra's like, that's fine. He should die. He's a
He should
vampire.
die.
So they clash over running off to save Angel. And Buffy and Willie just end up going on their own.
Yep.
And Kendra does not go with them.
Yeah.
At the church, Willie basically delivers Buffy right to the assassin. So again, he's just pretended to help Buffy out and delivers her right to the 3 assassins. Or the 2.
Yeah, 2.
The two assassins that are left.
Yeah.
In the back of the church, like in the main area, Spike is starting the ritual. He's talking about wretched master of decay, Eligor. That's who he's like summoning.
Okay.
And he has Drew and Angel tied up together, and their hands are clasped.
Yeah.
Together. He says the rest of the ritual, and then he turns the whole time the cross is upside down, and he pulls the bottom of the cross out, and it's actually a knife. Like, so the cross is also a knife, which is cool. And he stabs them through the hands, and that begins the ritual. So he basically says, okay, we let them simmer for 5 minutes, and then it'll be good. Like so basically,
the blood of the sire.
Through this, Angel is getting weaker over this time frame, 5 minutes or whatever he said. Angel's going to get weaker, and Drew is going to get stronger. And then when it's done, she's going to be fully strength, and he's going to be dead. So now he just has to wait. Buffy arrives, and basically Willie says, oh, hey, here she is. I delivered it to you. Spike's like, why did you bring her here? This is like the worst idea you've ever had, to bring her where we're doing the ritual. And Spike says, yeah, I'm going to let Patrice kill you. She sees Angel in the background, is like upset that she sees Angel, and says, well, he's got 5 minutes, but you have less than that, because I'm going to let Patrice kill you right now. Kendra crashes in, and I like this part when Kendra and Buffy are both fighting Spike at the same time. He's like, who the hell are you? Or something like that.
I like when Kendra says 2 Slayers and Buffy says, no waiting.
Yeah, that was great. Loved it. Spike's like, got another one of you? I don't need this. So it's pretty much like full out chaos. It ends up that Buffy is starting to fight Patrice, the cop. Kendra is fighting Spike.
Yep.
Cordelia and Xander draw Bugman out into like the hallway. And
even Giles is fighting. Giles and Willow too.
Yeah, and there's like some lackeys around too, so that's probably who they're fighting.
Yep.
So Xander and Cordelia close a door so that he has to become worms to get underneath, or like lock a door or something. And as soon as he comes through, they have poured liquid adhesive on the ground, so the worms are getting stuck on that. And they just start stomping on the worm.
That's so gross. Yep. Yep, so Worm Guy is taken care of. That was clever, though. Clever.
Yeah, it was fairly easy.
Use of, that was a creative way.
Yeah, it wasn't really that hard. Once you knew that that's how he could be killed. I mean, there's lots of ways you can kill worms, right? Like, they're not, like, gonna... I feel like they could have come up with a lot of things. But yeah, they took care of him. They got their revenge on Bugman. Buffy and Kendra switch, like, opponents. And I like that Buffy and Spike are both saying... They're both happy about that. Because he says, I'd rather be fighting you anyway. And she's like, same. Like, ditto. Yeah. Because they want to fight each other. Buffy kicks Spike, like, into one of the pews, and he sees Willie there. And he's, like, going after... He's like, what are you done? And he grabs Willie. But that gives Buffy the opportunity to run up to the altar and untie Drew and Angel. So that breaks the spell, or whatever, the ritual, before it was absolutely complete. And Willie immediately takes off. Spike sees this and is like, oh shit. And he tries to run up there to stop it, but Willie takes that opportunity to take off. Yep. Very Ethan Rain. Willie and Ethan Rain are like, boop, bye. Anytime they get an out. So he's gone. Patrice, Patrice ruins Kendra's only shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently. She only has one outfit.
And that makes her angry.
She's mad. You ruined my shirt. My only shirt. So she basically knocks her out. So she's kind of, not dead, I don't think, but she's out for the count anyway.
I think so, yeah. So, and again, that's what made me think she's human.
Yeah. So Patrice is out of the fight. And in the midst of all this, Spike decides to set a fire to try to distract people. And, like, obviously people have to get out of the fire.
Get Drew out of there.
And he takes Drew and tries to just get out. So he's carrying Drew. She's, like, passed out. He's getting out of the church. And she takes, I meant to look up what this was. You know that thing with the smoke?
It's like a holy water thing. I know I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it only in Catholic churches.
Yeah, I put a line because I was gonna look up what it was.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me.
I've seen it at Catholic funerals.
Yeah. What is
Holy water
the
decanter?
smoky ball at church? Okay, here we go. A thurible. A thurible is a metal censer suspended from chains.
Yep.
In which incense is burned during worship services.
Okay, cool. All right.
It is used
What's it
in
called?
Christian churches, including Roman Catholic. A thurible.
Thurible. Okay, cool. It's a fun word.
Thurible. I meant to look that up before we started. Yeah. So
Okay.
Spike is. Oh, sorry. Buffy. Spike was using this earlier in the ritual. So Buffy picks it up and like kind of like woo woo. So,
I
like,
love that. Yeah,
like a slingshot kind of.
woo,
Yeah,
woo.
lassos it and throws it. It hits Spike in the back of the head.
Yeah,
and
she
he
did.
falls
She
into the
does.
organ.
Mhm.
And the
like
organ,
falls on him and
organ
Drusilla.
collapses, and then like the whole thing above the organ too, like the whole structure falls and crushes them. At that point, the fire's getting pretty bad, so Kendra and Buffy drag Angel out. Giles gets everyone out, so they just need to like get out of the church because it's coming down. At school, Willow tries to thank Oz for saving her life, for
But
pushing
he's
her out of
so
the way.
humble. This
She's
was
like, oh,
such
I
a
don't-
cute
I don't do
interaction.
thanks. Yeah, it's very cute. I don't do thanks. And she's like, okay, well, forget about that thing where you saved my life. Like, just we'll forget about that. But I'm going to mention it.
And then he starts going on about animal crackers.
Yeah, because he's got his arm in a little sling, and she helps him open the animal crackers.
Yeah.
And he says, like, their conversation is so, like, random and cute. It's about, like, he talks about how the monkey's the only animal cracker that has clothing.
Which I never noticed. It's a fair thing. I've never
Yeah.
seen that.
And she smiles, and he says, you have the sweetest smile I've ever seen. It's just
It
so
is
cute.
so cute. But then he just continues on about the animal crackers. I'm
And
like,
how they're French. The monkeys are French.
right.
All monkeys are French. And so they just walk off into the distance having this cute little nonsensical conversation.
I love it.
It is very cute. I'm here
So
for this.
adorable. Mhm.
I ship this for sure. Also in the hallway, we see Cordelia is trying to avoid Xander. Xander's walking down the hallway and Cordelia's like, whoop, turning the other way. Like, okay, we're just going to change course. I don't want to see you. I don't make eye contact. And he basically pulls her into a classroom. Is like, hey, like, we don't have to avoid each other.
Let's be grown-ups.
Let's be grown-ups about this. We just kissed. Like, no big deal. And then they fight about who kissed who. Cordelia
They
says, you
kissed
were...
each other. They kissed each other?
She's like, you planned this? He's like, yes, I planned this worm assassin to come after Buffy so I could be locked in the basement with you so I could kiss you. And they're just like, so mad again, so mad. And then they do it again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They hop on each other's bones again.
But they don't pull apart this time. They don't
Yeah,
like...
it lasts a
you
little
know?
longer.
It does last a little longer.
They have they're still very in the muddy waters of enemies to lovers. They're like
Love,
in the
hate.
middle. They're in the space between the two words.
Love, hate.
They have a love-hate relationship. In the front of the school, in the quad kind of, Kendra is leaving. Buffy's putting her in a taxi to go home, and they bought her a ticket so she doesn't have to stay in the hold. Like she's like, eat your peanuts, watch a movie, you've earned it. Like, it's okay.
So you're gonna sit in a seat, right?
Buffy gave her one of her shirts, so now
That's
Kendra
nice.
has a shirt to go home in. I'm sorry, like, why doesn't this watcher give her more clothes?
I don't know. Her life sounds very...
Like,
Basic.
one pair of clothes? Like, what does she wear when, like, her pajamas or something? Like, when she's washing her clothes?
I guess she has no pajamas. That's it.
She just sits there naked while her clothes are being
Maybe
washed?
she just showers with the clothes on.
Oh, that sounds comfortable. Yeah. Goes for a run after to dry them off. Yeah, it was just... Yeah, so now she has maybe it's the only one she brought.
Maybe, yeah. Let's go with that. Because
Let's
she
go
did
with
just
that.
like hide on a cargo. So
Because it does seem pretty sad. If she literally...
If
Yeah, if she literally does not have any other clothes, I would be sad about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just go with that. That makes me feel better about the situation. About her watcher, too. So Buffy says thank you for coming, and she, like, obviously saved Buffy's hide several times while she was here. Thanks her. And she says, you act like... Kendra says, you act like it's a job. Being a Slayer is a job. It's not. It's who you are.
Yeah.
And Buffy says, oh, where'd you get that from? And she's like, you. That's the kind of what Kendra took from Buffy.
Yeah, I liked that. Yeah.
And Buffy says, well, I'm a freak. And I like when Kendra says, we're not the only freak. Because now there's two of them, which is sweet.
Yeah.
I like
That
how
was
they
really
ended.
sweet.
They're like, they are in a good place right now.
Yeah.
And Buffy goes to hug her, and she's like, oh, no. No. Not into that. Not into, like, the touching and the hugging. And Buffy's like, oh, yeah, gross. Yeah, I agree. And so she gets into into the taxi and goes to the airport. And we don't know where she go. We don't know where she goes, like where she's from.
No.
Not even like where she's from originally, but like where her watcher lives. Like where does she get? Where does she train and stuff? So that would be. I don't remember if we ever find that out, but right now we don't. I just was wondering, like, where's she going? I was wondering.
I don't know.
In the church, our last scene, the church is kind of smoldering. Obviously, it's burnt really bad. And we go to like the rubble of the organ, and we see Spike passed out. And Drew rises like from the ashes essentially, and like in vamp face.
Creepy.
Yeah, she does look creepy, especially because she looks so in her hair and her dresses look so like innocent, and, like childlike and like doll like, and then she has the vamp face. Like it's like a demon child kind of look.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and her like mentality as well.
And I love how she's like, "Don't worry, dear heart. I'll make sure you get strong again like me." And it's like, ooh, what does that mean?
And then she lifts Spike's unconscious, lifts him with one hand, lifts him up from the rubble, and just carries him out of the church.
Yep.
So now they've switched places. He's the damaged one now.
This should be interesting.
Yeah, so okay. So obviously
she's still crazy, right?
Yeah, that's not gonna change.
Yeah, I thought
There's no cure for that.
Yeah.
So obviously the ritual worked well enough to restore her. It didn't work enough to kill Angel, but it worked enough where she's fine now. Like she's at her full strength. And we do remember at some point during these 2 episodes that their big concern about this going through, besides Angel being killed, this is before they even knew that Angel was a sire, like Giles knew, that Drusilla is, because she's insane, they don't know what she will do when she's at full strength. Because you can't predict her at all. No. Because she's so out there. So that is another reason why they really did not want this to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode. Okay, so my favorite quote was, "I don't take orders, I do things my own way." Buffy says that, and then Kendra says, "No wonder you died." Or the way she says it, she's like, yeah, no wonder you freaking died. You don't do anything by the book. I just loved that. It was so funny. And my favorite scene, there were so many to choose from. There were so many lines.
Yep.
But I think I really liked the one that just makes me smile is the one where Giles and Kendra are kind of like bonding, and they're like, ooh, and then Buffy's jealous. And
That's
Buffy's
so
like, volume 6, like that whole thing. That whole scene, I just loved it. I just loved that Buffy was sitting so like, this is my Giles.
Yeah.
It's my daddy. How could you? It's a new stepdaughter in town and I don't like it. Yeah. So I just like that scene so much.
That was cute. Okay, my favorite line was when they're in the library and I think Willow walks in and Buffy's like, or Kendra gets all upset and Buffy's like, "Back off, Pink Ranger." I just thought that was really cute.
Yeah, because she's basically going to attack her or something.
Yeah, there were way too many lines to choose from, but I'll stick with that one. And then I think my favorite scene was actually at the end when Kendra's going to be going to the airport. It's not necessarily that scene specifically, but I think more like what that scene represents. Because like for me, I think at this point, Buffy realizes she has more freedoms than she thought she did. She has more of a life than she thought she did. Like that whole episode before this one, she just was like grumbling about all the things that have been taken away from her. But she kind of sees Kendra and has this new appreciation for her.
100%.
What she actually does have. So
100%.
I thought that was a really good touch at the end there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that we've even said before, like when Spike said, "Oh, a Slayer with family and friends," that was sure as hell wasn't in the brochure. Like Kendra's, I think, is a little bit extreme because she was sent away at a young age. But typically, once you become the Slayer, like you have your Watcher, and that's it.
You don't
like,
get friends. You don't
get things. Yeah, so that's pretty typical for the Slayers in general. So yeah, so Buffy does have a lot that other Slayers just weren't afforded or weren't allowed to have. So I think, yeah, seeing the extremeness between the two of them, it did give Buffy some perspective.
Yep.
On what she does have.
Yeah.
You know, because Kendra doesn't even know her parents. She doesn't even remember them.
Yeah.
And Buffy has like a loving mother that she is, you know, obviously still living with and being raised by.
Exactly. And
you know, so
like all these friends, and she gets nights off occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah. So yeah, you're 100% right. That's a huge thing I think for Buffy that comes to the conclusion, and that like now she's not alone too. Like there's somebody that can relate to this to a degree.
I'm curious to see if we'll see her again.
Yeah, like Kendra. Okay, my steak rating, I gave it a 4.8.
Ooh.
I really liked it.
Okay.
Oh boy. I love all the Spike and Buffy stuff. I like their little banter when they're like, "I'd rather be fighting you." Yeah, me too. Yeah, they're just like good, you know. They
Hmm.
got a little spark there. And I liked the ritual plot line. I liked all that. I liked the like Drew torturing Angel. Like she obviously still holds resentment, even as a demon. It seems like, of him what he did to her,
Yeah, definitely.
um, which is interesting
Yep.
because the demon shouldn't care or even enjoy. It shouldn't enjoy that happened. You know what I mean? So there's still stuff there that
Yep.
she holds on from her human life. Um, yeah, the obviously the Cordy and Xander thing is still happening. We'll see where that goes.
Uh-huh.
Oz and Willow, oh, loved it. Loved that scene with Oz and Willow.
Yes, so
Finally,
cute.
finally, the ball was rolling for those two.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah, there was a lot of little things. I just love it. It was a really good episode. It was a good two-parter.
Yep.
I really liked it.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.7.
Yeah.
Everything you mentioned, yeah, I love the Oz and Willow stuff. Finally, Xander and Cordelia are trying to, maybe we'll get more of that. Um, yeah, and just how, Buffy's gonna hopefully appreciate things a little more, although I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure she'll still be upset with things, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then just like so many lines in here. Like there were so many funny things. Yeah, the one at the end where it's like, I'm a freak, and then Kendra's like, not the only freak, and then Buffy's like, not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's
Power
sweet.
Ranger one, the Kendra killed a bad lamp one. Just so many good lines in this one. At one point, Drusilla said, oh, when she was with Angel, and she's like, you've been a bad daddy, and it's like, oh, that's so cringy, but like, I love it at the same time.
I know she's like, grr, bad dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then at one point she says, like she's pouring the water on him and she's like, say uncle, you
Yeah.
killed my uncle. And it's
Yes.
like,
Drew is great. She's a great
yeah,
character. She
she
is
is actually.
insane.
She is, yeah, yeah.
Like
So yeah, I
literally
mean
and
the
figuratively.
lines alone, and then yeah, oh yeah, there was one more. Buffy at one point says, "Get a load of this she Giles" about Kendra.
Yeah. The she
So good.
child.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I forget. Like, oh yeah.
So the
There's so
lines
many.
alone were just really,
This is a prime, beautiful Marty Noxon writing.
whew, yeah.
She doesn't go anywhere.
The writing was
Yeah,
phenomenal. So
she
yeah,
doesn't go
yep.
anywhere. Thankfully, this is only just the beginning for her episodes. Like so
Nice,
many
good,
of her episodes are
great.
so good. So yeah, we'll look forward to more
Yeah.
Marty
I
episodes.
like I'll admit I liked season one. I thought it was decent. Like it was good. It like had some stuff going on, but like at this point in season two is where I'm really starting to get hooked and drawn in.
Yeah,
This is the sweet spot for me.
I think that's where I would say. This is where
Okay.
I would say that you probably would.
Yeah.
So that kind of like brings the conclusion of this part because we're almost to the middle of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So like this kind of storyline has wrapped up with like why Drew and Spike came to Sunnydale. Now
Hmm.
Spike another issue that wasn't foreseen.
Yep.
He has been crushed, um,
Yeah.
physically, and so Drusilla's gonna help him. Whatever we'll see, but um, that has been fulfilled. That whole ritual, the reason they came here. So the next two episodes are kind of like two little palate cleansers,
Hmm.
and then we get into like the down the
Oh,
hill
okay.
for the rest of the
Interesting.
season. Like that's when
Okay.
it really like the big thing happens
Mm.
that that pushes the show to the end of the season.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So these next two episodes are not anybody's favorites.
All right.
I'm
Oh,
sure
good to know.
we'll
Okay.
find some like I'm sure we'll find some fun things about them because there's no horrible like unwatchable Buffy episode. I don't think. Uh, but then the next two, yeah, aren't the best.
Okay.
But then after
That's
that,
fair warning.
there's a little yeah, a little palate cleanser between the end of that kind of storyline and the start of like the next one,
Okay.
which they're all entwined still. But
Curious. All right. We'll see.
yeah. Okay. So on that note, your question for next week is then season 2, episode 11 episode is called Ted.
Hmm.
Who's Ted?
Oh God. A vampire? They would name an episode after him, so he's got to be somewhat important.
Right.
I'm gonna go with vampire.
It's like a vampire that comes to town, makes trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Either your poker face got better or I'm wrong.
I've been practicing, so I don't know.
Okay.
So that wraps up season 2, episode 10, What's My Line, part 2. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. And please leave us 5 stars wherever you listen. You can email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 2, episode 11, Ted. See you real soon.
Bye.